Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Uh,
Yo, yo.
we're back again without Adam. Shocker. Um, just kidding. Um, but today we're
Not
gonna
really,
talk
though.
about something a little different. Just gonna kind of talk about what's going on in Israel and Palestine and the fucking missiles that are just getting launched left and right. The Iron Dome that's slapping them out of the sky. As fucked up as this is to say, it looks cool.
It is
Um,
ridiculously cool looking. Scary as shit, but
yeah. Um, but no, I mean, what's your first opinion on like what's when you saw like obviously, I mean, it was all over Twitter. Like at least that's how I found out. I saw videos from people in Israel and stuff. The Iron Dome like slapping the missiles out of the sky and shit.
yeah, that's pretty much where I first kind of seen it too. And it was kind of like, this is fucking sweet. But then I just was like, I would not want to live there though, because
No,
I couldn't imagine just that's just happening over people's houses and stuff. Just like it almost through the videos, it feels like it's so casual.
yeah,
Like, but it's just like there's no way. Like, you got to be so stressed all the time. Like, your lifespan's just got to be shorter than a normal person because of that stress. Like, that's like, it's just insane.
yeah. The one video I saw was crazy, bro. Like the guy was there was a group of people just videotaping outside of like a little like convenience shop or something, and you know, the Iron Dome was just slapping these things out of the sky. And, you know, they're just calmly watching it and talking, but one gets through and blows up. It like hits probably a few miles down the street, but you know, it's a big explosion. Then they start panicking. It's like, how could you be so calm before that? It's like there's literally missiles above you. I
It's
I
insane.
just don't know how you could stay that calm, and I understand they've been going at it for fucking 70 years, but the level of like normalcy that is involved with that is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's really weird. Really, really weird.
It is. Um. Now, who do you think's to blame here for what's going on right now? Or do you think you got to go all the way back?
I think you could go all the way back, but I mean, if just looking at it, like, I look at like the wars the U.S. fights, I feel like the answer is about as simple as like the reason the U.S. fights wars is there's some type of military complex or something or weapons contractors or stuff like that. It's probably the same companies that, egg on our wars here. Honestly, they're such huge ass companies. I can almost guarantee, they're also making
Yeah.
stuff for other countries and shit. So I think maybe at this point it's more just kind of devolved into that. Like, maybe there was a way back at the start of all this stuff, like legit reasons for it going on, but then it just kind of seems like as time goes on, those reasons always fade, and
Right.
it just turns into some type of just machine that just keeps going and going, and then again, it loses its purpose of what it really was at the beginning. Like
Right.
again, looking at the U.S. wars and all that, like we went in. It was still stupid as it was going into Afghanistan after 9/11 seemed at least reasonable. But now 20 years later, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Why are we still there? Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of like how I just feel about this whole thing with that too. Is like I think at this point, special interests have got themselves so entrenched in the perpetual fighting that I don't know. It just makes the whole situation fucked.
Yeah. And now, I mean, I'll be real with you. I haven't obviously, you know, I love conspiracy theories. I love a good conspiracy. I'm very open-minded when it comes to those. Obviously, I know some are complete bullshit. And I haven't heard anybody say this. This is just my own brain working. I think this is connected to our oil shortage here.
Mm.
I am a firm believer that the oil pipeline wasn't a cyber attack. But
No, I'll
now go
go
ahead. What were
ahead.
you gonna say?
Just real quick, when when I texted you about that the other day or whatever, and you said I could tell obviously in your tweet you were skeptical of it, and then I was just sitting there, I was like, it is funny because what was that John Brennan that always said that anytime the CIA or whatever wanted something, or needed something, they would just blame it on a hack or something like
Uh-huh.
that. Like that was always their go-to cover
That was
story.
his go. That's out of his mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I am skeptical of it. I'm even more skeptical of it because I don't know if you saw this, but today, the Biden administration was talking about our gas shortage on the East Coast. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you probably know what we're talking about. If you're American, the East Coast pipeline was shut down. Keystone, was it Keystone? Is that what it's called?
No, Colonial.
Colonial.
Keystone's the one that
Keystone's the
he
one
acts like immediate.
Okay, I'm getting to
Yeah.
Keystone. It's too many pipelines. So they shut this one down, and then they're talking about it today, and they ask Biden's top, I think she's like the top energy person in his administration, an older lady.
I think I've seen pictures of her. I know, kind of have an idea who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I can't remember her name, but anyways, she's in the press briefing, and they ask her, "Are railroads the most efficient way for us to get, oil and gas to the East Coast?" And she's talking, and she's like, "Well, this is why we have this thing in line for trucks to be able to do it. It's just, it's a very tough decision to make, which route to go. But using a pipeline is the best and most efficient way." And I sat there after watching that clip. I literally paused it, and I was like, this is the same administration that the first thing they did when they got in office is shut down the production of a pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to say that the pipeline is the best and most efficient?
Well, yeah.
Isn't that fucking weird? Like, doesn't that, completely...
It is weird, but it makes sense. It's campaign trail Joe, and now off like President Joe. Like it's totally.
I understand that.
They say what they gotta say. Remember, these are the same people that Kamala Harris, whatever, that stupid pig. Regardless, she called Joe Biden racist and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then had no problem running as his VP. And then when asked about it face to face, just laughed. And she's like, "It's a debate. Like these are the same people." So it's to a normal individual, you would see that and think twice, like, "Oh, that's weird." But it's just these people just doing what they do. They're duplicitous taints.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's amazing too, like how fast this country. I mean, you can hate Trump if you want it, but this country was we were totally self-efficient with energy by the time Trump left. And I mean, it didn't even take Biden half a year, and we are absolutely dependent again on oil. Like, we are, like, I don't want to bring this up to Kim because her brother just, he's in the military now, and I honestly think we're going back to the Middle East. I know, Biden got praised for setting a date, which September 11th, to pull the troops, which
a vain thing to do.
Yeah.
So vain.
And not to mention, he pushed that date back. It was supposed to be sooner. He pushed it back to that date.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this month that we were getting out of there.
And people don't realize that. You want to
push it back for vain reasons.
And this is where my own brain gets into a conspiracy that all this is connected. We're staying over there, bro. Mm-hmm. We're staying over there, and I think we're getting involved in this. I think this is a perfect excuse for us to be like, nope. See, we can't leave. We have to get in here.
Next country we're going to occupy is going to be Syria. It's going to be a nice little base. We already control a third of the country, most of its oil fields. So we might as well just either lock down the rest, or unless there's another area over there that they're already looking at that they already know has some oil reserves that they want to get.
Oh, there has to be. Bro, do you remember when Trump, when he was talking about pulling us out of Syria, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do that," and he was like, "Fine, we'll leave enough to keep the oil." Like, he literally said that in that one. What was it?
Yep.
Was it a debate? I don't remember if it was a debate or it was just
oh no, maybe this was like before he was running.
Was like,
or not before he was running, but like before the debates.
Yeah. And he just blatantly said the truth. Like, fine, this is what you actually want, so I'll do that. But those are the things I will miss about Trump. Just the blatant honesty in certain aspects.
Like,
like
Yeah,
that.
he didn't beat around the bush. He was like, "Hey, look, we do fucked up things, and this is what we're doing."
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, literally, he called us killers, which he was right. You know, when they pressed him,
yeah,
when
he ain't wrong.
Putin said, you know, we're killers, and Trump was like, yeah, we are. We do it
Yep,
all the time, including him in Yemen. But
yep.
I just I have this fucking weird feeling, dude. I've had it all day that this is gonna be, because we're going on like 8 days, 7 or 8 days now that Israel's just been
It's
attacking
been that
Gaza.
long.
Yeah. Um. And Israel, dude, Israel's relentless, dude. I mean, I was just showing you a video, like, kind of on the history of this shit. And for those of you who don't know, I guess we can kind of do like a brief history lesson.
The full disclosure, though, was a Vox video,
It was Vox, but
and I do got to do more research into it myself. But I still think though, at a certain point, it's just like I said before, it's special interests have gotten in there so much that at this point it is more that, especially as you're talking about, like going to war for oil, like that's
I
literally
agree.
what this shit's kind of just devolved
And
into.
that's what I was going to bring up. You know, after World War One, when obviously Britain split up the land and said, you know, Israel to, you know, because it's the Holocaust, so everybody, I don't want to say everybody was feeling bad for Jews, but that probably laid into giving them their own
Yeah,
state. And that's what Israel was supposed to be. And Palestine had theirs, but, you know, British technically took that land from the Palestinians to give it to the Jewish Israelites. I don't know if that's the right word, Israelites.
I don't know for sure. I know that's like what they were like in the Bible and stuff,
Yeah,
but I don't know if they would still be considered that.
I don't
Isn't that
know.
like one of the original 12 tribes or
Yeah,
something of them? Or maybe they were. I don't know my biblical history that
I don't
well.
either. It's funny too. I like biblical history, but I don't know like a shit ton about it. Or I should say retain the information because there's so much.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but yeah, man. I mean, so on one point, it you can understand Palestine is pissed because they just had some land taken from them just for these people,
Yeah,
basically just thrown on them that the British didn't want to have to deal with anymore, to be quite frank. And in that video, they were saying, you know, it only took 1 year before Palestine decided they were going to, you know, try to take them over, which is kind of
yeah.
weird that, you know, a year in, it got to that point and Israel somehow won.
That's how you know there's some fuckery going on. It's
Yeah.
like this. They just became a country and they already got a military force to be able to fight a war and win against these other Arab countries and or whatever that have already been over there and have built up military and things like
Yeah.
that. Even if it's not, I don't know. It's just weird. It's
It's
like
weird. It's really weird. How do they have the equipment, the resources? I mean, it was at 1 year and they won that war in 1 year. Israel did, which is
yeah,
even weirder. Like it was like precision and just unbelievable.
yeah. I think they're
Um,
definitely heavily bankrolled by British and American money.
I would
I
guarantee it.
mean, we had definitely an interest, at least from America's point of view, definite interest in having an ally over there in
Yeah.
all those Arab nations that you know, because that's right after World War II. Who became our biggest enemy? Stalin. We know when we were fighting in World War II that Stalin and Hitler were all in those Arab countries. That's how they kind of modeled their rule after, was the way Stalin did things.
Mm-hmm.
And we need somebody, you know, we had the Iron Curtain and all that crap in Eastern Europe, and we wanted somebody right over there with under the Arab nations to have kind of like yeah, just an ally in that region to help push back Soviet influence. So you know, it's just like, yeah, with the way it went immediately after the founding of that nation, it's like,
Yeah, there's definitely
yeah,
some fuckery going on. 100%.
yep,
I mean, I mean, sure, you can argue that point. Absolutely. But I don't know how you can't think that it's just weird, you know? Um, and then it was, what was it? Not a few years later, they had the 6 Day War with the surrounding Arab countries who tried to stop Israel from, you know, treating the Palestinians like that. And they fucking won that war in like the 6 Day War, I think is what they called it.
yeah,
And they took over like the peninsula right there by Egypt and some of Syria. And it's like, how the fuck is these people haven't even been a decade as their own state, and they're just taking over the Middle East.
Doubled in size.
Incredible. I mean, we should note too. It is obviously we're 70 years down the road from then, but I was looking, and they supposedly have the 4th ranked military in the world in terms
See
of
that?
power.
Remember, what was that one podcast you, me, and Adam did a whiles back, where we did kind of some current event stuff, and we were talking about all the accords that Trump was doing over there, all the peace talks and whatnot.
Yeah,
He had going on. And remember, I was telling you about that. I can't remember what the name of it was, but we have that provision built into every arms contract we got with every nation that we make. There has to be a certain percentage that we have to meet all the time out of every arms deal that goes to Israel every single time.
yeah.
They're automatically looped into every arms contract. I forget what the name of it's called, but you remember talking about
Yeah, I do
that?
remember it. I do remember
It's
you saying
like
that because it was an outrageous amount, and it was like, why
and
Israel?
it's ridiculous.
Like
Yeah,
Israel
and
doesn't
it
even have to
doesn't
be a part of
matter.
the accord. They're just getting,
Nope.
they get it,
Any
and that
arms deal
even
between the US and another
furthers
country.
that there's definitely was some fuckery from the get go. That
Mm-hmm.
almost
Yeah,
furthers that point. You know, I wonder
it
how
really
long
does.
this has really been going on.
That's what I want to know because when I found it, I'm like, this is a fucking thing.
Yeah,
Like, Israel just gets looped in on whatever we sell to other countries. They just get a slice of it, and it's
yeah.
like, so it's so weird.
And I am curious to see what this administration does about it because there's no doubt in my mind we're going over there to war, and you know, with that being in the accords, like I don't think people are going to be happy necessarily that we're just going to take. I mean, I would assume we're going to be on Israel's side over there.
I would imagine. I would
I would
think
imagine.
so.
I mean, why would you be giving them all this ammunition just to go fight them? Which I did read that they technically have the #1 rated defense system in the world, which I think is that Iron Dome in this article I was reading.
I mean,
And honestly, it blocked 60%. I mean, they shot like 200 missiles, I think, was shot at them, and only 60 got through. That's fucking insane.
that's crazy.
Yeah. That's fucking
It's just
insane, bro.
like I
Like
said,
when I
watching those
watched it,
videos
I
of,
was like, when I first heard Iron Dome, I'll be real with you, I had no fucking clue that was even a thing. And when I saw the video, I was like, Iron Dome, and I'm thinking like some Simpsons shit. Like they dropped a dome. Like what the fuck?
yeah,
And then I'm watching. I'm like, no, these things are literally getting shot out of the fucking sky. Like that's incredible, dude. To have something, a defense
insane.
system with the accuracy to hit a missile coming, like, and just completely, like, it blows up in the sky, and that's it. That's incredible.
It is. It really is amazing. And then to think, and then it's like, you go right to the point of like, you think of that, and you're like, but how sick are humans that we have to develop a technology for like defense against missiles like that? It's insane.
I'll tell
But
you
it's
this.
an awesome piece of technology though.
Oh,
It's crazy to just watch. It really is.
it's
Watch shoot those
incredible.
missiles out. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to see that. I mean, it's sad to see missiles going off anywhere, but to see that, it's like, holy shit! Like,
yeah,
there's technology out there that, like, I think like the general public around the world just isn't prepared for. I mean, I know me and you talk about this all the time that like the U.S. government's easily 10 years ahead in the technology than the general
the
public
military
is.
for sure. Yeah,
Oh,
I would say at the very minimum 10 years.
yeah. I mean,
I'd say probably more at this point, but yeah, yeah.
I know. What was that guy's name? He was just on Joe Rogan. That was it. Mellon, Christopher
Yeah, the Christopher Mellon dude.
Mellon. Yeah, and he was talking about how the F-16 fighter jets, those were in use for 2 years before the general public was, made aware about them, and the general public was just blown away by what these jets could do. And it's like, yeah, we've been using them for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like
The only dudes that would know that in the general public would be like jet enthusiasts or something like that. Like, like that's it. Like nobody. Yeah.
And it's funny too. On that podcast, he mentioned, a lot of things like military wise don't get leaked, because nobody cares. There's no political gain out of leaking this weapon or this defense system. It's always foreign policy and like, domestic politics that gets leaked because that you can use for political gain. can't really
It-
use like, oh, we have a phaser beam, like, you know, that's not
right.
going to get you anywhere.
Or, it looks like now they're going to go away from the route of foreign policy. I don't think they debated that once at all this
Yeah.
last time around, which is
Well,
very scary, which also kind of lends itself to what you're saying is we've been in perpetual war since one, right? Is when we went into
yeah.
Afghanistan,
Yep.
the end of 2001, which actually I seen something the other day that actually the Korean War still technically isn't even over. I know we got the whole DMZ and whatnot over there,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I guess that's
We
not
have troops
technically
over in
over.
Korea. That's
Yeah.
actually one of the places where, I mean, Nick, my fiance's little brother, that's one of the places that he could be deployed to
Mm,
in 3 months, I think, could be a possibility.
gotcha.
And, I had to explain to him. I was like, yeah, because Adam, who's usually on this podcast with us, he was in Korea for a little bit. I mean, maybe we can get him. He told me one of the stories about one of the things that was actually made the news over there. And I can't remember if they tried to blame it on a training thing or something. But Adam literally told me, he was like, yeah, that's not what happened. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let him tell that story if he wants to, but yeah, there's a lot of fucked up shit that goes on out there, and it just continues to go on. It's just like, we have a mutual friend who, during the presidential election, had no idea that wars were going on. I mean, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Come on.
No.
She was totally oblivious that there was even a war going on. She thought the wars were over.
I really don't know. You don't have to say their name but I really
She's a
like
sister of someone.
my sister.
No.
No. I could see my sister being that stupid.
Postman.
Oh.
There you go.
I got you now.
All right. Our listeners are just completely out of the loop on that
Yeah.
one, but that's okay.
No, we don't want to drag
I don't want to
anybody's
drop
name through
names.
the mud or anything.
I'm not trying to drag her through the mud. I'm just saying there are bar people out there like that who have no idea because it's out of sight, out of mind, man. You don't realize that it's going on because it's not talked about like it should be.
No,
and every time we try to pull troops out,
yeah.
it's Russian bounties,
They didn't bring it up one time during the whole debates at all, and I think it just literally sets up to where it is so out of sight, out of mind now that if they don't bring it up, nobody really raises stink about it. Then it's just what it is at this point. We just keep, the American empire just keeps rolling on.
Yeah. And I don't know.
But everybody's so woke. They care so much about people that,
it's sad, bro. It's really sad.
It really is.
Just it annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah. I know I was watching a video earlier today, too, that was getting me a little fired up and pissed off at people because it's like they were just talking about how all these people all of a sudden came around to, like, defeat the Orange Man, which, I mean, yeah, he had a lot of terrible things about him, like we talked about, too, the genocide in Yemen that he still was going, keeping on.
Yeah.
But he didn't start any new wars, and he was, for the most part, kind of against starting new wars and wanted to wind them down. But they wanted so bad to get him out of office, and now those people aren't even around anymore, and it's just like shit's still going down the drain. And it's like, where were all these people that cared so much? They were just there for 5 minutes, voted. Now they get to bolt and just not even worry about it, and it's just
yeah. And here's
for people who do read this stuff and actually care enough, like it's just we're still here just trying to change things, and it's just
I think
it gets me pissed off.
One of the best qualities I mean, like I've told you this before, I think Trump will be one of those guys you look back on in 20, 30 years that people go, damn, we got that one wrong. But, even though he's definitely a cuck, the amount of hate that guy got for any little move, I think people will look back on and go, maybe we were a little hard. Because, a lot of his policies were a little democratic, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Oh yeah, the policies on what he was doing, it took not that the Republicans were ever like they claimed they were a small government party, But let's
They're
be
not.
real, they really not and not really have been. But like Trump made sure that that veil, whatever veil was still over that, has been lifted now because
Oh
they were
yeah,
definitely just fine with it.
yeah,
And they can't really claim to be like fiscally responsible anymore or anything, or the party of being like rein in government spending
yeah.
because Trump spent how much fucking money? Oh my god! And now we're seeing with the inflation going on now, it's like shit's about to get real just shitty.
It's well, quick thing on that. The inflation is like a double whammy right now because we have more people out of work and the inflation is still going up, which is like the worst combo possible. And I will say the only thing I think it's a scary. It's like I don't know how to say this. It's like good but scary. I think Trump pulled because he is a lot more left than probably 90% of the people that are Republican in the government that are Republicans. And he kind of pulled that party more center than right, if that makes sense. Like they're not as far right as they were, like the whole alt-right thing. They are definitely more centered, which has attracted, I have noticed this, it has attracted a lot more people to, I actually like what the Republicans are doing because like, it's like almost where like the Republicans are almost in that, they're almost getting to like libertarian, but they don't want to let go. Does that make sense? There's some in there like you can see like Jim Jordan's a perfect example, and not just because he's from Ohio. It's like a lot of the shit the guy says. It's like, how are you Republican?
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at like who donates to him and all the donors. It's like, okay, like you don't want to let go of that, but it's like you can tell there's a shift in your politics. You know what I mean? I think that's driving a lot of people that way.
I do think it did change that party as a whole, what Trump did with all that.
Oh, yeah.
It was I want to say necessary reform, like I support the party in any way, but it was a necessary reform that party had to go through.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after George Bush, what Bush and Cheney did to that whole party and everything, like, and the wars, like we just kept on talking about.
Dude.
Like,
I mean, his dad too, bro.
And it's also weird to see is the way that changed the Republican Party and how the Democrats have now become the neocons and whatnot.
They've moved even more
to what Bush and Cheney were and all that. Now they all support that same they support Liz Cheney. She's like great all of a sudden, and so is George Bush. And
that Bernie
it's
tweet
weird
was
to see.
fucked.
It's weird to see just the shift of because I just remember growing up during the whole when Bush was president, the wars and stuff going on, and like a lot of my favorite bands I liked, like Green Day and System of a Down, were like speaking all this shit about it and all that. And now I know System of a Down still stays true to what they were saying. They didn't like Barack Obama or anybody like that either. They hated all of it. But like you just see these other bands where now they're starting to, not bands just in general, but the whole the atmosphere of it all just shift back to supporting those guys you were talking shit about 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
For being a bunch of assholes. Rightfully so, talking shit. And now you're like, it's weird to see the shift play out as it has from being little then and just growing up in it now. It's weird. Weird.
I legit saw a Chuck Norris interview where he talked about how he used to be a Democrat, and it wasn't that Trump changed his mind in any way, but he had noticed kind of what I was trying to iterate, that a lot more Republicans have become centralized and the Democrats are just getting more and more left, that it's almost like a circle, that they're almost like they have gone so left they're almost alt-right, like a circle. Like they're literally like pushing that stratosphere of being like super alt-right leftists. It's just a weird combo.
They are. You think of like censorship, that used to be a right-wing thing back in the day, like the church and all that wanted to sanitize everything, censorship and everything, slap the stickers on CDs and all that. And it was the left who's like, no, free speech. Like, that's what people want to say or whatever. They should not anything like that.
Yeah.
And now it has totally switched where, now they're the party of censorship.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
It's really weird. And that's what I mean. Like it's almost like the Republicans. And it is only because they're being attacked because on free speech on social media. but they're speaking out against it, and it's almost like a circle that's like rotated, and the poles have
Yeah.
shifted, and it's really weird. It's really weird
I
politics, and
didn't. I wonder if it's not even a circle, if it's more just a pendulum,
it could be, bro. I
where
mean,
it's just gonna end up. It'll. I mean, obviously, we'll see in the next 10, 20 years again when we see another generation shift right in front of our eyes. But I wonder if it is just that. It's just like back and
yeah,
forth. Whatever.
because
One side gets a little crazy for a little bit, and it just kind of it's weird.
I I'm interested because it seems like there's a lot more like the younger demographic like used to be. I mean, I'm not. Don't quote me on this. I'm gonna say low. It used to be probably like 70% of the younger generation was probably Democratic,
I'd probably say so. Yeah.
and I feel like that number is massively decreased. I mean, I mean I've seen this in my own family. My sister was a full blown socialist. You know, when she first got to college, all she cared about was free college. She didn't really understand it. God bless Nick, or not you, but her boyfriend.
Yeah.
He might be like super right, come from a super right family, but it was just enough to wake her up. It was just enough to
Yeah.
wake her up, you know what I mean? But it's just weird how, you know, growing up, I mean, I fell into that. I mean, I voted for Barack Obama. I don't ever regret who I vote for. I don't know. I know people always say that, oh, you're gonna regret that. It's like I don't regret it. Like I came to that conclusion. I'm gonna live with the results. I'll own up to it. And that's another thing that's weird. Like my parents growing up, I never knew their like political views. Like it was always a secret. I never knew who they
Yeah.
voted for. Nothing. I mean, I know now. Now that I'm old enough to, you know, have a conversation with my father, I know. But it is weird how open everybody is. I mean, I'm open about it. I don't. I mean, if you're gonna get mad at me for my choice, I mean that's what America was supposed to be built on. You know what I mean?
Freedom of choice.
Right. So, but it is weird to me. Like I remember in school, man, everybody was like Barack Obama was like a fucking god, you know. And I fell into the whole change thing, and he did create change because they went way more rapid down the military industrial complex with him than fucking
Yeah.
any president before. I mean, bombing fucking the guy won a Nobel Prize while dropping the most bombs ever. Like that's incredible
Ridiculous.
stat to me. It's an incredible stat.
Destroyed Syria, Libya.
I mean, you drop more bombs on innocent people than anybody in history, and you win a Nobel Peace Prize.
And what did his Secretary of State
I
do when
mean,
they asked her about Muammar Gaddafi? We came, we saw, we killed him,
yeah,
and laughed about it.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, this guy did not give a shit about what people wanted about wars and all that.
no,
He went totally the other way.
no. And yeah, another thing I was going to bring up because we were talking about, you know, Biden in the Middle East and the Trump having all those accords signed and stuff for economic peace. I forget what it was, like a weird peace treaty. It was like more economic than actual military peace, but
It was all based on arms deals too.
yeah, basically it was like a weird peace deal. But it's funny to me that this is happening so soon after Trump's out of office, almost like Palestine wasn't afraid to attack because like what the fuck's Biden gonna do about it? I almost feel like
Well,
that's because Trump he would put out those warnings, fuck around and find out. I mean,
yeah. No, I'm sure that had something to do with it. Seeing Biden and the way he is as a president, like just feeble. It's not a good look for the
dude,
U.S. on the world stage.
it was instantaneous. China with Taiwan, fucking Russia with Ukraine. I mean, it's not just here. I mean,
Yeah.
there's several countries who are like either threatening or, I mean, did Russia actually invade Ukraine or they just loaded up the border? I can't
I know
remember
they
if
were
they actually went
amassing
in.
troops. They were amassing troops at the border. I haven't looked in a while to see, but it is a lot of, yeah, just the U.S. is weak. We're gonna push the only country I'd be really worried about it is just China, just because they seem to be more willing to go to war over a lot of these things than other countries. Like with Russia and Putin, I think he loves that idea that the world gives out of his personality as like,
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is definitely ruthless and cold-blooded and all this, ex-KGB agent. So it's
Yeah.
like, but I don't think he's as much of a monster as not monster, but maybe smarter and not as much gangster as like, he just loves that persona that they give him because he could play into that. Like Trump played into it with the media and all that,
100%.
like it benefits him. But I don't think he's also looking to go to war like China is. I think he knows like, I'm gonna push my shit, do what I need to do, but I'm also not willing to cross that line because I know in the end that's not good for me either, and he
Yeah.
wants to keep the sweet deal he's got going on.
You know who Putin reminds me of? And you're probably gonna laugh at this. Putin reminds me of the real life Thrawn from Star Wars.
Mm.
He's cerebral in every fucking thing he does. Like you're right. Like he fucking straddles that line as far as it'll go. And
Yep.
I think he just loves getting everyone else around the world worked up.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely.
I
He
completely
was
agree with you.
there's the one interview I was seeing something about with Angela Merkel. She is definitely afraid of dogs. Absolutely hates dogs. He brought two of his big ass dogs in there. They were like super nice dogs and everything. He brought them into the meeting with her, and she's just like freaking out and stuff in front of all these cameras and shit. Like, and it's like that's the kind of shit. Like,
Yeah, he
he
loves
loves that
exuding
persona. Like,
power,
and
dude.
he's gonna just play into it. He's not
Yeah.
stupid enough to go and do shit like and fuck around. I mean, I'm sure he would if it came down to it, but.
Yeah.
I was just saying the only country I'd be really worried about is China making these power play moves because they do seem like they're willing to go to war and it wouldn't matter to
Well, they
them.
got the fucking army for it. They got
That's
more
also
fucking
the other
people
thing
that
is
they know what
like
to do with, dude. Like, what do you want to do for your
that's
career? Well, guess what? You're joining the army.
yeah. That's the one thing too. It's like I know people say that and I'm sure there is a lot of truth to it, that we still have the most powerful military in the world and technologically advanced. But I also wouldn't necessarily put money that China isn't that far behind us, if not on the same level. With how long they've been ripping off technology and stuff like that and just making their own advancements. And they do allocate a majority of their resources to go to military tech and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not, if not right behind us on the same level at a minimum.
Oh, I'm sure they're on the same level. I honestly believe it's America, China, and Russia. The reason we're always all three talked about and the conflict is because it's like a heavyweight fight. It's only going to take one punch for you to go down. So
Yeah.
it's like anybody's fucking war. Like if China and Russia went to war, I wouldn't know who to pick. If China and us went to war, I wouldn't know what would happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would
It'd
like
be
our
fun.
odds against Russia, but you never know. Like what the fuck
You
are they
don't.
hiding?
Yep.
They don't parade
And that
around
could
with their
also
fucking
be
shit.
no, and that could also be a moment where if things were to heat up between us and Russia, China would jump in and
Yeah.
start fucking around. Which I think too why they like the whole, thing between us and Russia interference and all that in our elections.
Yeah.
It plays up to their advantage.
Yeah. I don't know. I see this whole like cyber attack on the pipeline and everything going on in the middle. It just happens to be in that area. I see that all as a fucking.
And it's weird too because I seen a story earlier today that Michigan ordered a shutdown of one of their pipes.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, there's a shortage going on the East Coast.
Because pipes are bad.
Why would Michigan go and shut down some pipes
first of all,
right now? That's weird.
I don't care how you feel about Trump. I don't care how you feel about Biden. That woman who's governing Michigan needs to be hung.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She is
I don't
awful.
care. She is a fucking dictator.
Mhm.
She is quite literally a dictator. She
Pretty
scares
much.
the shit out of me. I'm dead ass serious on this. I'm dead serious, dude. I know people who live in Michigan and they don't even understand how she got voted in because the warning signs were there. But it's like
I'm sure there were.
this woman is just, she thinks she's a fucking dictator. Blows my mind, dude. Speaking of dictatorships, did you see Biden's tweet today? Talk about dropping the ball, dude. You can either wear a mask or get used to it, or you can either get vaccinated or wear a mask. The choice is yours, or something like that.
Those aren't the only two choices. That's
Let me
weird.
pull it up just to make sure I get this correct.
So now he's just threatening people? Is it supposed to be a threat? I don't
I
understand.
mean, I would take it as a threat.
I mean, and there's more than two choices.
Okay,
he goes. I know he's.
This is 5 hours ago from the official Joe Biden Twitter. The rule is now simple. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. The choice is yours. That is the tweet. That is the most dictator, authoritarian tweet. I mean, I will let you siphon Trump's tweets. I guarantee you Trump never tweeted something like that.
Just speaking of tweets, it's funny because I seen this thing. It was either yesterday or the day before that Biden's actually had more tweets than Trump did in his first 100-day presidency or something like that.
To be fair,
I was like,
Biden ain't tweeting that.
Well, no, I know he's not. He's got a team doing it.
Yeah,
it's just funny, like just bringing up that aspect of it.
I can believe that Trump was actually making his own tweets because they were like in the middle of the night, somewhere on his personal account. Like they were like crazy hours. Whoever he had doing
it, be like, "Hey, just tweet this out right now."
Yeah. It's like, could you imagine being Trump's tweet guy? Like you just like on watch. It's like 2 a.m. You're like, is this fucking guy gonna text me to tweet something?
You're on call all the time.
I mean, I don't want it to sound like I'm defending Trump but I'm just saying, just to be fair, that guy got called an authoritarian, even though he let the governors do their thing during coronavirus.
He let the governors be authoritarian.
Exactly. And then he took the blame.
He was a really bad fascist authoritarian.
Really bad.
That's what he was. Really bad.
And now, I mean, when I read that tweet, dude, it floored me. Because, I mean, whoever sent that tweet either was told to tweet that or just fucking totally misread the room tweeting that. Because the CDC, and I'm assuming it has to do with the CDC saying if you're fully vaccinated, you can now go out in public, inside or out, without a mask. They said that today. Great. I mean, Ohio is supposedly June 2nd. We're fucking opening up. But whatever.
Regardless.
These fully vaccinated people get two weeks of fucking freedom before everyone else.
I mean, don't forget, dude, you can win $1 million if you go get vaccinated too. You get into the drawing, dude.
Not only that, if you're in high school, and I think if you're in high school and you're at least 18 years old, you can win a 4-year scholarship.
For getting vaccinated?
Yeah, they're doing a drawing. If you're fully vaccinated, 18 and in high school, you can win a 4-year scholarship to any college in the state.
It's so weird.
It's really weird that you need to incentivize people for something like that should. It's just weird. The whole thing is weird.
No, it is because it's like, okay, so if you're incentivizing people to do this, one, it's like it could be either A, why are you doing that? Why are you really trying to get people to do this? And two is like, is it then that effective if you really need to incentivize people to get it?
Exactly.
Because it kind of sounds like it's not that effective then.
And it's not FDA approved. I mean, Pfizer applied for it. They haven't gotten it yet.
No, it's still
none of these are FDA approved. So why are we incentivizing people to get something that's not FDA approved? So does the FDA approval mean anything anymore?
It's really weird.
The standard we're going to go with? That's the precedent we're setting. And
you wouldn't think that with the whole "my body, my choice" climate that just happened a couple of years. You would think that would be like that. That would have, and in all seriousness, that would have set a precedent for most people to be like, "Hey, this is definitely where this kind of comes into play here." And just start asking questions about what's going on.
Yeah.
And not just accept this stuff.
And what happened to it? You don't want to get it. Don't get it. Who the fuck cares? Yeah. If you're an anti-vaxxer, I don't give a fuck. That's your choice.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit.
Especially, I don't get if someone is vaccinated and they're getting mad at someone else for not getting vaccinated. You're vaccinated.
Yeah, what does it matter?
What the fuck does it matter to you? They're taking the risk. They're assuming the risk.
Yeah. Isn't that what life is? It's really just about assuming risk.
Yeah.
You could literally die walking out of your house every day, but is that worth going out and hanging out with friends or going out and getting groceries or whatever the hell?
People fucking quit their job every day and just take a leap of faith and do what they want to do. I mean, there's a lot of shit people are willing to risk. I don't get it. But 1% death, not even a 1% death rate is just too much. And I understand a lot of people died. It sucked. We got lucky.
It does,
I mean,
yeah.
if we're being honest, we got lucky. This
No, yeah,
pandemic
that
was
it wasn't
almost
actually
nothing.
worse.
Um,
God, and yeah, honestly, with the way how this all played out, it is seriously so good that it. So I'm glad that it didn't get worse because we handled this shit like poorly as hell.
oh,
So
fucking
bad,
just drop the ball left and right,
so
dude. I
bad.
mean, that's one
So
of the
I'm
things that
glad that this was like
100%
not that bad.
Trump and his administration 100% dropped the ball. I mean, they were part of the whole, like, at first the Chinese president was his friend and told him, it's not that big of a deal. And then, oh, they lied to us. It's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. It's fucking China. Like,
yep.
I mean, you could rip on the Trump administration for handling this shit 100%. I'll fucking be right there with you. But I mean, even now, like Fauci is one of the. I hope I never have to see Fauci ever again after this. Like, I'm dead ass. Like,
I just seen a video of him today, actually talking to Rand Paul. He was questioning him because
Rand
they
Paul
do the
ripped
gain
him
of
a new
function.
one. Yep.
Yeah, it was basically about that because he does the gain of function research, which the U.S. stopped funding, but somehow he's been able to get funding from the NIH or whatever to still do gain of function. And he's talking to him about it. And Fauci's like, it was gain of function, but the reason that we were able to do it was this, this, and this. And it's like, no, it's illegal, not supposed to be going on. Like, so this, like, it's funny seeing the financial ties that Fauci had all this because now you see the incentives and the reason he's been acting the way he's been acting about all of it. You finally start seeing the connections between the two.
Yeah, and the whole, like, remember when they sent it? They actually sent an investigation to the lab to see if it was actually coming from the lab.
Yeah,
and it was like a very quick investigation, and the doctors were like, "Oh yeah, it was clean. There's no way it was a lab accident or whatever." It turns out that those doctors had worked on similar projects with each other. The people that were investigating these gain of function people had actually worked their last project. They all had worked together. So it's like they're buddies. Hey, did you guys do this? No. Okay, clean. Like, literally. Like, I forget the guy's name. I'm going to look it up while we're talking.
This just makes me think of the scene from The Other Guys where he's talking about his, what's his face is the lawyer's kids going to school with Urshan's kids. And he's like, so how do you know if he's dirty? And it's like, that's exactly, it's like these guys are all just like,
tonight.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then what does the guy do? He jumps off the bridge because he was wrong.
Oh, look, he's flying.
Josh Rogan, not to be confused with Joe Rogan. Josh Rogan.
Okay, yeah, I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a reporter, right?
Yeah, and he did a lot of reporting in Washington. He was like a Japanese. I think he reported on like U.S. Japanese relations a lot, and he did a lot of the shit. He's done a lot of reporting on like what happened in Wuhan and how Trump handled it and how China's handled it and all the gain of function connections that are there. And he points out, like, why aren't we truly investigating? Like, you bring up the fact that this was in a lab, and it's like you're the devil. Like, you're just spreading lies. You're an anti-vaxxer. Like, they just smear the shit out of you when you bring it up. You're almost treated like a whistleblower.
Well, yeah, we have seen how the government treats whistleblowers. Yeah. But the only reason they do that, and it's so stupid and trivial, is literally because Trump said it one time.
Yes,
well,
that's
not
100%.
One time, but like that's literally the only reason that it can't be true in their minds. It's like, who cares at this point? The dude's not the president. It doesn't matter anymore. Why are you still stuck on that?
Exactly.
We can actually talk about the facts of things now that your boogeyman's gone. Like, you don't need to be stuck in that past.
And that's Josh Rogan's point
reality.
Now. Josh Rogan's point now is, now that Trump is gone, we need to take a serious look at this. Because there's actually, I'm probably going to fuck this up, but he had pointed out that there's actually like a plan in place to have these gain of function doctors all from all different countries work together in one plant now. Like, that's their solution. To have all these guys basically have their own organization and do like double the work, go out and find more diseases and work on them. It's like, how the fuck is that a solution?
And when you hear like these guys, or just not these guys necessarily, but just people talk about this like today I watched a video of the ex head of the CDC on CNN or whatever, and he was talking about this being made in a lab, which is the first time I think I've seen CNN put something out like that too, that it was like, possibly leaked from this lab. But he's just sitting there talking about it. He's like, we're just a lab and we just create these viruses and we're trying to make it more effective and just
Yeah.
see where we can like beat it. And I'm just like, this sounds like scary Armageddon shit. Like you're
Yeah.
literally trying to make a monster that you could defeat, like, and you're trying to make the monster more undefeatable and stronger just so you can find a way to defeat. It's like, it's just so,
Bro, it's like a
I don't
James
know.
Bond
To me,
villain. It,
it just sounds like the dumbest shit you could do because you're just asking for something bad to happen.
yeah. And I know that I forget her name, but remember that short documentary came out. I forget the journalist who interviewed her, but she was a girl who used to work with Fauci. She was a blonde-haired girl. I fucking forget her name. And it came out early stages of COVID.
She got banned almost immediately and stuff.
Immediately.
I
Because
remember who
she
you're
had
talking about. I can't
said
remember her name.
that Fauci knew what happened. There's no way he didn't. He knows these people in the Wuhan lab. He's worked with them before. And this is literally the type of shit that they were working on. And she was fucking immediately canceled and just smeared. And it's like, now that we're here, it's like, maybe we should look back at that and give her story a second look. Because she might have been dead on.
I'm fairly certain she was.
I am too. I mean, I said it from the beginning.
Yeah. You knew some weird shit was going on just from the beginning, because one, it's just the government. They always have a hand in something that gets fucked up, and then they don't want to take responsibility for it, so they start just flooding the news with just garbage, just throwing garbage out there.
I mean, my own personal conspiracy theory is that they released this shit because they were starting to have trouble controlling the protests in Hong Kong. With, the people are tired of the Communist Party being in power there. And those protests were getting out of hand. I mean, you had the NBA was talking about it. GM, remember the whole the Rockets GM tweeted about it, and then
the NBA itself wasn't talking about it. It made sure that its soldiers for the Chinese Party shut down people in the NBA that talked about it.
Well, at first, I will give Adam Silver one little piece of credit. At first, yes, they immediately were like, "Oh, you can't say that," and then they kind of backtracked, and Adam Silver came out and said, I want our players to have this immense freedom. Our GMs and our ownership crew should have the same ability, I guess is the right word. So I will give him credit on saying that. He's a commissioner of basketball. But you're right. I mean, you had LeBron telling people to get educated on Chinese matters, and the guy's so fucking uneducated. It's not even funny.
It's hilarious. He loves them Chinese dollars.
Obviously. But, and I mean, they do. I mean, China, the Communist Party, not China. It's so weird. It's like the Communist Party, but it's not China. Like, I have a hard time. I always say that it's China, but it's really just the party.
I know. But like, if you know the difference, though, you kind of know when you do say China, it is shorthand for the Communist Party. You kind of know
like
in your
mob, dude,
mind,
or a mafia. Like,
it's literally what it is. I mean, that's why they use those type of tactics to stay in power and stuff like that. It's literally that.
Yeah, it's incredible what goes on in there. And I mean, they've infiltrated our fucking universities, our fucking our Hollywood for sure. I mean, we change fucking movie scenes so that we don't offend them. We change shit in video games so that they don't get offended.
Think
like
them in the end credits of movies.
Yeah. Jesus God.
It's real bad.
So yeah, I don't know how we got here from Israel and Palestine, but here we are. It's all connected, bro. It's all connected. I'm telling you. It's all
just a lot of fuckery.
Real conspiracy theories.
I mean, in a way, it is all connected by just one bad decision after another, honestly. It's just a web of bad decisions that goes on, and
it is.
It's just, it's like a dam with a bunch of holes in it. A leak springs over here, you put your hand over here, then another one over. It's like that, pretty much. Just
I don't even
A
know
lot
if
of
we're putting our hands
bullshit.
over him anymore. Honestly, I
It
don't.
doesn't seem like it at this point. No, it
Yeah.
seems like there's like some of these people that really just want stuff to just go to absolute hell.
Yeah. Honestly. I mean, I was at that point with our own government. That's why I voted for Trump his first time in 2016. I told you I wanted this government to burn. That's what I told you, and I
I'll
probably
tell you
got
what,
what I asked for. Because the
he
government was in
definitely
disarray.
yeah, he definitely radicalized a lot of people. That's for
Oh
fucking
yeah,
certain.
there's no fucking question on that. No question.
He yeah. So in that aspect, it was a success so far.
Sure.
Hopefully
If you want to
hopefully we're
call it
near
a
the
success, that's fine.
you know as shitty as it is, it's like you kind of need this cleansing period every so often when things just get so like the rot sets in so much
Yeah.
and just so much corruption. Like it just needs a good cleaning.
Yeah.
And it sucks because a lot of times that just means violence and whatnot. But hopefully not. Like it can happen without violence. It really
It
can.
can. Yeah.
But
I mean, truthfully, if he had 4 more years, I think we might have seen it finally. We might have seen a libertarian get, I mean, because what's his nuts when he ran against, I mean, that's why Clinton got in office. Because what's his nuts got like 20 million votes.
yeah,
I mean, I think we were 4 more years of Trump away from getting that again. I just don't know. I just don't know if we're ever going to see
possibly.
that again.
I mean, it's possible because
It
I
could
mean,
it could
shit.
be. I mean,
Trump
because
was the most.
I was gonna say,
I
we've
was gonna
seen
say,
the extreme of Trump, and now we're getting the extreme of Biden immediately. Maybe people are gonna wake up to it.
hopefully, but see, but that when you say that, it kind of goes back to that sentiment where it's like these people that were all here to fight the Orange Man have left indefinitely, and they're
Yeah,
not coming back because it's just like, and they're the assholes. Like, oh, thanks for just we've
yeah,
been trying to tell people to wake up. They wake up to the wrong thing. Like the establishment used those used useful idiots pretty much. Like used them so good, and then those same people you try and talk to them about all this shit, and they're just like, yeah, I don't pay attention anymore. And it's like,
yeah.
seriously, this is the reason we're in this
And
like
you can
shit.
always tell who's paying attention because I mean, I got a buddy at work, and he's very democratic, and even when Trump was in office, we would, he knew I was a Trump supporter. I voted for the guy. I was going to support the guy. And he took on the toll where he was rooting for him, and he would be like, hey, like he did this, that's not that bad, but I don't like this at all. And we'd have an actual conversation with someone who's paying attention because you can't pay attention and not see that both sides are fucked up. In some
Yeah,
aspects they are, in some aspects they're not. We need that collective jointness. It's the people who are just completely one-sided, only go to one news source for all their shit, only do,
yeah.
it's a lazy people. I'll say it
They
that
don't
way.
like things that challenge their thought either. Yeah, because
Yeah.
then it makes them feel uncomfortable to have to be called out and realize you really don't have anything to support what you're like supporting.
Yeah. I it gets scary when you talk about like that aspect of people because those type of people are never going to go away. I mean,
No, and they're just going to be used again when the next election and stuff comes around, just like they were this last time.
yeah.
And it is it sucks. It really does. Because it's funny thinking about it now. It's almost like how we bitch about baseball, how they're trying to capture casual fans, but it's like you're never really going to truly capture casual fans because they're casual fans. Like they're fans that stick around for a couple seasons and then are just like, all right, whatever. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, luckily we're almost through this coronavirus shit. At least in Ohio. And
Oh,
fucking Florida and
hopefully.
Texas already through it. A few other states. I honestly think those if those states didn't open up, we'd be still in here.
Probably.
Because the number, like at a certain point, you can't hide the numbers anymore. You know what I mean?
No, is kind of that thing too, where it's like everybody's kind of staring and they wait for the first person to make a move, and then once the first person does, the next one's more
Yeah.
comfortable to be like, all right, I'm in right after him.
Yeah. Like we got over 50,000 people at Rangers games, and coronaviruses aren't really spiking. So in Texas.
No, and outdoor transmission's almost near impossible.
Yeah. So we got that going for us.
Yeah.
I just hope we don't get involved with this Middle East shit.
Yeah, it would suck, but it wouldn't be a surprise though either. Unfortunately,
No, it wouldn't be.
the
And
American Empire needs its oil, and it's willing to spill blood over it.
yeah, and usually spill blood of other nations.
Innocent black and brown kids.
It sucks. It's a depressing way to end this podcast.
Extremely.
But yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much wraps it up. I know we talked about a lot there, but
Yeah.
when are we going to be on here next? We're not doing anything this weekend, are we? Maybe Sunday.
I know we got our Bad Batch thing. That'd probably end up being Sunday. I'm sure if Adam can fit it in. We'll have to talk with Adam and see what his schedule's looking like.
Okay.
Before we figure out what we're doing next. He's usually we can see if he can pencil us in.
Yeah, see if he can pencil us into his schedule. Trying to think what else.
That would be the next thing, yeah, because we got shit going on tomorrow. Saturday, I'm gonna be busy all day, so.
Word to your mother. All right.
So probably our Bad Batch review on Sunday.
Sounds good. So look forward to that. Sunday, we'll come at you with the Bad Batch, episode 3. I am pretty pumped for that, by the way.
Yeah, it should be good.
I mean, I know we just talked about, China and shit. Now we're getting pumped for a Disney show, but hey, what are you gonna do? We're only human, right?
First world problems.
Yeah, first world problems is right. So, if anybody from Palestine or Israel watches this, stay safe. I mean,
yeah,
fucking A, bro. And I guess we'll see you Sunday. Deuces.
Alrighty.